Good afternoon, everyone. Allison Scoberg here, Consolidated Planning Group. We are excited to be back with Alvin, Friendswood, Galveston, and Brazoria County ISDs out there. So thank you for being here and coming back with us for this important topic that we're going to be talking about today. Social media, that is is that the of all existence of parents right now is like the never-ending the never-ending conversation in the household. I guess especially if you have preteens and teenagers. So this is going to be an exciting topic. Consolidated Planning Group. We are a holistic special needs planning and consulting firm. You may have joined us before. If you have, we're glad you're here. Glad you've come back. And if it's your first time, we put out a lot of webinars on a pretty regular basis as it relates to special needs planning and topics surrounding all things special needs or our kids and family members with disabilities. We do have a YouTube channel, and all of our past recordings live on our YouTube channel. So if you've missed one, you can go back and there's a whole bunch of relevant topics out there. Some may be more relevant to others. So you can kind of pick and choose that, and we'll have that at the end of the presentation today. So I am excited to be back with Dr. Michelle Garcia and her awesome team. We have Brandon Delgado, give us a wave, and then Angela Ballone, and then I think Josie Avila today. So having said that, the few housekeeping items that you should know is that today's meeting is being recorded. So either later today or tomorrow, you will get an email with the recording and also a PDF of the slides. Dr. Garcia has agreed for a PDF of the slides to go out. We can't see you or hear you. Your cameras and your microphones are muted, but we know you're there. We're glad you're here, and we want to entertain any questions that you have. So we ask that if you have questions throughout the presentation, just put them in the chat box, and we're going to get to as many as possible. And we're going to do that throughout the presentation, so don't save your questions up for the end. And so having said that, I would just like to welcome you, Dr. Garcia, and your team, and I'm going to turn everything over to you.
Thank you so much. So I'm Dr. Michelle Garcia, and today we're going to be talking about social media and how to keep individuals safe. We know that that's a big concern. Angela and I just had a talk, I believe it was this week, with some caregivers as well. And we know, again, that it's an ongoing issue. We really got started looking at social media when Brandon and I created a healthy relationships curriculum. It's a program that's now been recognized and used nationally. It's been used to change some laws up in Virginia. We're hopeful it's going to be used to change some laws in Texas that are much needed. And it's been helping people stay out of the criminal justice system. So whether it's used as diversion, so if somebody has interface with criminal justice, they're able to take our curriculum as part of diversion rather than being incarcerated. And also we are happy to use it for prevention. That's how it got started, so that people do not become victims of crime. So it's really exciting. And Angela and one of our other clinicians, Desiree, are leading groups using the curriculum on Tuesday evenings. So if you're interested, just let us know. So let's get started here with social media. Give me 1 second. Here we go. So why is this so important that people stay safe? I mean, it's an obvious question, but what are the statistics? As of 2019, the CDC does estimate that 1 in 6, or 17% of children between the ages of 3 and 17 are diagnosed with one or more disabilities. As of 2001, it's estimated that 90% of individuals with disabilities will experience sexual abuse at some point in their lives. It's such a scary statistic, and I realize that that's really old. Unfortunately, there's little research that's been done more recently on these areas, but we know that that percentage is probably growing, especially with social media. Another study found that almost 50% of incarcerated offenders with intellectual and developmental disabilities and 34% of those living in the community had been convicted of sex offenses. And again, remember, that doesn't necessarily mean that they did something we would traditionally think of as a sex offense. Sometimes people are doing things that they didn't realize were wrong. We had a recent case that we've learned about where somebody was traveling to meet somebody they met on a chat room that they had sent pictures of themselves and had said they were an adult. It was assumed by both parties they were an adult. And as the person got closer to meeting this person, they found out that the other individual was underage, and it ended up being a sting operation. We also know of another individual who was incarcerated because he had consensual relations with his ex-girlfriend, who then claimed it was not consensual. And the judge said that they were going to use this as an example and incarcerated him anyway. So there's lots of really scary things that are going on. And again, it's so important to do education. 22% of adolescent males and 15% of adolescent females did not learn about reproduction and sexual health in school at all. And of course, we know that that percentage reduces the greater the disability. We hear all the time when we're doing our initial assessments where we ask about somebody who maybe doesn't communicate verbally. We say, you know, have they had sex education? And we're told, oh no, they couldn't understand that. We know that that's just not true. We also then get to the point where we're asking about behaviors and we're told that the person engages in public masturbation. So clearly there's a need. And yet we know that in schools, most schools are not offering any kind of education. They may be doing that one day or very short-lived education through health classes for people without disabilities. But then when you talk about people with disabilities who, again, are even more at risk of becoming victims, people are not doing education, and it's very needed. We know that early intervention and education is always proven key for successful integration and development of appropriate behaviors, and that includes social and sexual behaviors as well. Due to the lack of education, of course, again, as I've said about probably 4 or 5 times already, individuals with disabilities are at an increased risk of becoming offenders or victims of sexual abuse. So what do we need to do? We have to educate, whether it's through our program or another program. We know that the best prevention is education, not just about what is okay or not okay, but even about some sexual nuances. There was a situation I had heard about that was one of my favorites. There was a little boy diagnosed with Down syndrome who had been in a more or a less inclusive classroom. And, you know, in those classrooms, everybody gets up and goes to the bathroom together, goes to the water fountain together, goes to lunch together. And this individual was moved into a more inclusive classroom where the person raises their hand when they need something. So this boy raised his hand to go to the bathroom and was sent to the bathroom. He went in the male bathroom and there was another boy in there as well. And he moved to the urinal right next to the other one, which males will tell you is not code of conduct correctly in the bathrooms. But he moved right next to the other individual. Then, because he was taught social skills and how to have manners and give compliments, he looked down and said, "Nice penis." So again, just something that this poor boy wasn't taught. He certainly wasn't doing anything wrong in the realm of right and wrong or being arrested or a victim, but he was definitely doing something wrong when it comes to nuances. This situation fortunately didn't spiral too far out of control. That boy just thought it was weird, went in the hall, told his friend about it, but then a teacher overheard and called this boy down to the office thinking they had done something wrong. Again, just education is needed. We know that we need to educate early. So starting even before individuals express an interest, we need to be teaching at least about safety. And then as they start to ask questions, we need to make sure that the person knows The conversation can be opened at any time, and it's an okay conversation to have. We want to educate often. We know that repeated instruction over the person's lifespan is most important. We want to educate in all settings so that the person gets information in different ways. We know that we all learn differently, and sometimes you might hear something from one person and hear the same thing from somebody different, but take it differently, and it may absorb a little bit better. So we want to educate in multiple settings. With real terms, we know that using terms because people are embarrassed just doesn't work. We need to make sure we're using real terms. The other thing that we know is that for individuals who use real terms, when somebody is trying to groom or trying to get to know an individual to abuse them, if that victim or potential victim uses real terms, they are less likely to be abused because the abuser is afraid that they'll be able to tell exactly what has happened. So we want to make sure to educate with real terms. Educate in a fun way, because again, we all learn so much better in fun ways. And educate with different methods. So for example, in our curriculum, we have hands-on activities, discussions, videos. We have videos of adults talking, cartoon videos, videos from TV shows, as well as videos of teens talking to teens. So we want to make sure that we do it in different methods to keep it entertaining. So now let's talk about how to be cyber smart. And I'm going to turn this over to Brandon for some examples.
Well, I know better. I don't want my mom to find out either.
In the food court at 1.
I'll be there. Hi, my name is Alicia, and at the age of 13, I was lured and abducted from my home by a vicious internet predator. On New Year's Day, I walked out of my house on the coldest, iciest night of the year to meet a monster who I thought was my friend. Online, we talked about everything. He groomed me by seeming interested in me as a person, my thoughts, my goals, my relationship with my friends and family. He gave me adult advice, and he always took my side, and that's just what I needed. He gave me what every person craves, unconditional love, or rather, he made me believe it. He held me captive in a basement dungeon, chained by the neck. He tortured and raped me and filmed his crimes to share my pain and degradation online. I was just your average kid. I want to prevent this from happening. Don't you?
Okay, so that little video you saw is from a sheriff's department educational video regarding social media safety and internet safety, and it's a true story that we see and experience and hear about all too often. The fact that social media, the internet, these tiny little computers that we carry around in our pocket and are always with us, has infiltrated our life on a daily basis, hourly basis. It really goes to show what Dr. Garcia was saying, the importance of education, so that way we don't have the individuals that we're supporting, that we care about, that we love, becoming victims through some of these different means that the individuals online are trying to take. So catfishing is an example of an individual pretending to be someone that they're not. So there was a show on MTV that kind of made this idea popular and brought it sort of to the mainstream. And there are times where it certainly can be funny, where you think you're chatting online to a really attractive model, and turns out to be someone that is covered in Cheeto dust, sitting in a recliner surrounded by empty Dr. Pepper cans. And so you definitely don't see who you're really talking to online, because they can pretend to be anyone. I heard an example kind of how to treat the internet in regards to catfishing that I thought was really good and really pretty pertinent for the time of year and what's coming up. Is that the internet, and when you're on the internet, it's kind of like Halloween, because everyone can wear a mask on the internet and pretend to be whatever they want to be or whoever they want to be. I've got some profile pictures on my Facebook account where I've edited in some of these patchy spots on my beard, covered up the bald spot, chiseled in a nice six-pack. And that's not what I really look like, but anything's capable. We're capable of anything when we're online. So it really is important to teach our loved ones that you really don't know who you're talking to online. They can pretend to be anyone, and you could get catfished and be taken advantage of by someone who's pretending to be someone that they're actually not. And it's really, really easy to do. And so there's plenty of ways to kind of do that online by searching for little snippets of catfishing videos, of kind of giving an example and pretending to be someone, and showing your son or daughter, niece, nephew, whoever it is, how easy it is to pretend to be someone that you're truly not. Create a fake Facebook profile. All you need is a fake email address, and you can pull pictures from Google of someone, and you can pretend to be whoever you want to be, and show them how easy it is to do that, and create a fake profile to show them that we don't really know who you're talking to, because anyone can pretend and wear that Halloween mask on the internet. Pornography. It is something that, again, can be uncomfortable to discuss, kind of like Dr. Garcia mentioned earlier, with using not technical terms when we're discussing this stuff. So calling body parts cute terms, because we're uncomfortable with using the word penis or vagina or breast, and instead calling it, a cupcake or your little dandelion or whatever it is. It doesn't teach the individual how to speak up for themselves in that situation.
Brandon, I have a question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
As parents, I think it's a push-pull here. It's hard. Like, on one side, our kids desperately want their phones, their social media, their access, and things like that. And then when we try to have limits or limit the time, or some families have limits of, you simply just can't have Snapchat or Instagram or whatever, then there's obviously all kinds of pushback, and then they start not listening. Maybe it's just at my house, but anyway. How do we find this balance? Because I think there's a couple of things that it seemed to me like it's a perfect storm of, number one, we've been living in a pandemic for a year and a half. And so the mental health of the world is not as great as maybe it once was. So I guess what I'm getting at is a typical teenager behavior is low self-esteem. They're comparing themselves to everybody else, and then they're looking around on social media, which it always makes it worse, because only people put the best pictures out there. But how do we find balance? Because the thing is we can't restrict this forever, right? We have these healthy boundaries, but it's pretty scary when you take some of our kids that have underlying mental health challenges to begin with some of their diagnoses, combined by what we're seeing, worsened by pandemic and school at home and things like that. So give us some tips here. How do we get started, or what do we do here?
Absolutely. So I think one thing is it's certainly a case-by-case basis on your specific teen or whatever individual we're talking about, and kind of who they are, what they respond to, their certain needs, triggers, all that. So I think that there's definitely some individualization that needs to be taken into account. But one thing that I would start off with is again with the education component of it, and discussing in regards to what you said, the self-esteem component, because I think that you really kind of hit the nail on the head with that. And I'm currently working with an individual who has that specific difficulty in his life with social media and the relationship there. And so I've done things like challenge him to take some time away from social media, start off with what he's capable of doing, and it started off with just not getting on during his lunch break, and then kind of working his way up. And he took actually a 3-week break at one point, sort of working his way up, and that really had a positive impact on his mental state and in his self-esteem. Discussions in regards to that and what we see on social media not being real life, and being just that little snippet of the exciting portion of someone's day, I think is really important to communicate that as well, that all the other kids at your school, they're not posting the bagel that they had for breakfast. They're posting the vacation that they took with their family, but they live a very regular life as well, with just the normal day ins and day outs, and stub their toe and that kind of thing. And so kind of getting them to understand what's put onto social media and trying to regulate their view of how real it is, I think is another important piece. Like you said, we certainly can't regulate it and take it away forever, but I do think that for some individuals that we've worked with, having screen time be something that is earned through positive behavior, through completing the homework or the necessary components of life, having that stuff done as well, and then sort of being able to earn screen time. We've done things as well with monitoring of the phones and the information on there as well. There are different applications that can be put on a phone to monitor and log certain keywords that may be used through the individual social media. So you can kind of tap into that as well to provide some monitoring if there are some concerns about the specific use of your child's social media. There's a few apps that can help with that.
I would just like to plug Bark, BARK. That is a good one, and it's cheap. I think it's $9 a month. We've used that for years with our kids, and effectively, we've tried a lot of other ones. You may have some other ones, but if you do have some other ones that you want to just mention and throw out there, as families, we need help with this. So I know for sure that Bark has been a good one, but please do share if there's any other monitoring ones that you recommend.
I want to mention a couple things. One is there's a Facebook group called Parenting in the Age of Technology or something to that effect. And they've got some really good resources there as well. The other thing that Angela and I had talked about at this recent coffee chat that we did with Fusion is, one thing is, as a family, I think we're all so plugged in that it's not a bad idea to have screen-free time for the whole family, for everybody to be off their phones, off social media, reconnecting, finding other things to do together, kind of talking about the pros and cons of social media, for those individuals who are able to, even having them do the research on what are the pros and cons of social media, of, you know, things like that as well. And then the other thing is just sometimes you can externally structure that screen time. So maybe if the person's involved in some activities and as a family we go exercise, and then you add dinner and homework, and then you're kind of just left with limited time anyway before bed. So, you know, there's things that you can do with that as well.
I put it in the chat box. That Facebook group that you were speaking of, I'm a member of that one. It's parenting in a tech world, and it is actually run behind the scenes. It's a Bark. It is a Bark Facebook group. So I put that out there. You guys can check it out. I've had a lot of great tips on that Facebook page. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. No, and great question. So in regards to kind of what I was saying before, again, discussing things in an open and comfortable way is incredibly important. And I think that it comes in regards to pornography as well. While it's definitely something that can be touchy or uncomfortable to discuss, it's something that needs to be discussed. I don't know if everyone in the webinar right now was able to see the chat that came through a few minutes ago from Constance regarding her son and his experience online. And I think that is, again, a very strong testament to the importance of education in regards to these things, pornography, especially sharing child pornography, being a part of child pornography is a very legitimate concern. And it is something, again, not done out of the desire to be with a child. It is, again, partly related to just the lack of understanding and the lack of education with online safety and what is appropriate to share, what is inappropriate to look at, and that kind of thing. So having that open discussion regarding pornography is incredibly important.
We have another question from the chat. If a person with IDD, autism, gets in trouble with the law for online illegal use, make sure when you sign the paperwork to avoid jail time that the person is not listed as a sexual predator, because there are lifelong implications, a person mentioned.
Absolutely, and that certainly makes sense. I mean, I'm sure most parents have checked out the sex offender registry in their county, and certainly not something that we would want our son or daughter listed on for a situation that was, again, not intended to be anything sexually predatory in nature. So I think that's definitely a good tip, not something that I had been aware of, that you could discuss that with them, with the legal system in that situation.
And I had, just real quick, Brandon, I put in the chat, but for you guys, there's a group called Legal Reform for Individuals with Developmental Disabilities. I highly recommend you look them up if you are concerned or have any concerns in this area. I'm not going to talk too much so we can continue on with this presentation, but they're awesome. They'll link you up with various attorneys. They'll link you up with people who can truly help you, and other parents. They even have a monthly, it's called Wine and Wine group, where it's a support group, but it's a support group to get resources. So it's a really good resource as well.
Absolutely. Scams is definitely something that it doesn't just affect our loved ones that we're discussing today. It goes across the board with individuals falling for scams, or at least trying to other individuals trying to scam everyone that has an email address or a phone number. As a matter of fact, yesterday I was at a day program and got a text message, and turns out I myself have won $1.2 million awarded to me from some extremely nice Canadians that are just really interested in philanthropy. And so all I had to give was my date of birth and phone number and address and a few other personal details. And I was assured that the check is in the mail. So once I get paid, Dr. Garcia, I'll actually be resigning from the company. So sorry about that. But that's absolutely a true story. I got that text message yesterday, and have had really elaborate scams as well from people that I know that are in my email contacts, saying that they have been stranded on vacation and just need some money to get back home, and could I send it to them? We all know the Prince of Nigeria has tried reaching out to each and every one of us, I'm sure, several times as well, to try to get some funds. So it's something that happens as soon as we start signing up for social media accounts, and we have to have that email address to get on there, and then our phone numbers put in. And so the emails and the phone calls and text messages will absolutely come. And so letting our loved ones be aware that we never share that personal information, send out money, no matter who it is, and to come to us in any situation like that. And then obviously unsafe situations. I mean, there's numerous, and kind of falling into some of the different areas that we've discussed as well, but certainly predatory situations being one of the main concerns with individuals trying to lure or meet someone, kind of like the video that was played at the beginning. That's certainly a strong concern when we are on social media and online, as well as giving out personal information to be taken advantage of financially, and identity theft is obviously a concern as well. And then sexting and sending and receiving pictures and videos. It's something that I don't think a lot of people are aware of, is that what's put on the internet lasts forever, regardless of whether we delete that Facebook post or if that Snapchat gets sent and disappears in 10 seconds, the person could still record it, delete our Instagram post, whatever it is, send a selfie to our boyfriend, girlfriend, anything like that. Anything that we put out into the interwebs out there is forever. There is no way to delete it. Once we send it, it's out there forever.
I think our kids struggle with that, and because that's why they like Snapchat so much, because they really truly believe it's gone. And then I heard this week, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I actually heard that even as a parent of a minor, that you can call up Snapchat and Instagram and get all that stuff, even if if it wasn't monitored by Bark or whatever. I don't know if that's true or not. So even this stuff that they think is secret on Snapchat, and I've actually seen some kids get in trouble, not sexual trouble, but like making a joke on Snapchat about, a bomb at school or something crazy, but it was like a joke, but there was like criminal charges. So that's serious, but the kids really, really believe in their heart of hearts that it is gone, it is over, and that could never be recovered. And I mean, they're so careless of even doing drug deals on Snapchat. So what do you say about that?
First, I say that kids just inherently are dumb. It just is part of being a kid. We were all dumb when we were young, and our kids and grandkids, they're all going to be dumb when they're young and invincible, and we know everything. So at 16 years old, no one can tell us otherwise. And I think that's part of the difficulties that we have trying to teach our kids in regards to social media, especially since it's something that that's their thing. It's not the old people's thing. It's their thing. So what could we possibly know about it? But I think one of the most simple, easy, straightforward ways to prove that what takes place on Snapchat isn't gone forever is to have your son or daughter send you a Snapchat, have someone else standing there with you. When you open the Snapchat, have that person take out their phone and record your phone while you watch that Snapchat. And then that person has that video. Granted, it's a recording of someone else's phone, but it's still you've got the video right there. It didn't notify you that the screen was being recorded or that someone took a screenshot of your snap, but all it takes is someone else recording your screen, and then there's that video that can then be sent, or picture can be sent to whoever, whenever, and it's that simple. And see if a light bulb goes off.
We have a question that says, do you know of resources such as the Shepherd program where families can register their child? Sorry, I lost it. They can register their child with the police department in case there is a need. Do you guys have any recommendations for something like that?
Yeah, I know we've worked with people who have done that. I don't know what the program's called, but you can go and get identification and have it registered in the system. I can't remember what it's called. There's also, if you happen to be in the, Tri-County or Montgomery County area, there's a woman who's a victim's advocate with the police department who's just amazing, and she has a family member with a disability. So she's a really great resource as well. Her name is Tamara, I think it's Young, maybe. I'll try to find it and I'll put it in the chat. But anyway, I know that there are ways that you can do things like that. I just don't know the specific details, but she might be a good resource for that.
Okay. All very good questions. So in order to continue to support the individuals, there are things that we need to do and need to put in place in order to try to help prevent any trouble, any damage to be caused. And so one thing that we can do is provide safe places to meet others, because of course there's going to be a natural desire for relationships. And I think, again, speaking to what was said earlier, the fact that life has been turned upside down for the last year and a half, and those relationships and meeting new people and socializing has definitely been lacking for everyone for quite some time now. It's going to make that desire even stronger. And so finding ways to help support and provide positive and safe places to meet and interact with others is going to be important. So if we have made friends with someone online and you have tested out the situation, monitored it, and feel that it is okay and safe and appropriate, then take your child to the park or to the mall and supervise that visit with a friend that they have made through school and met online, or someone in another school, something like that. So providing the ability to do that safely is important. Supporting the desire for dating and having more meaningful relationships, that is also incredibly crucial, and something that we deal with as a practice on a daily basis, is the desire for that more deep relationship with someone. It's human nature, and the individuals that are kept from being able to pursue those are going to, one, find ways to pursue them on their own, and it will likely be in a much more unsafe, unsupervised way. And two, could then start to act out in other ways, causing harm to themselves through sexual behaviors is something that we've seen as a practice as well, because they're unable to pursue relationships, and so they start engaging in unsafe sexual behaviors themselves. So allowing them to explore dating and pursuing more meaningful relationships is incredibly important. Monitoring obviously is crucial and key in the way that we are able to ensure that what they're doing is safe and that they're doing it in appropriate ways. So having open and honest discussions with them is important, and it lets them know that they can come to us and discuss those things, ask us questions that they may have. If they may have a bad feeling about someone, they're more likely to come to us and say, you know, this is what's going on, kind of what do you think about it? If we've created that open dialogue and let them know that we do support them having friendships and relationships, but we do want to monitor to make sure that it's done safely. Linking up with criminal justice, we kind of touched on that a few minutes ago. There's different departments within your local criminal justice system that can come out and discuss cyber safety and online safety, as well as provide information on potential consequences for making poor choices and have those discussions with them, which is always good for it to be coming from other individuals, not just parents or teachers, but when it comes from sort of that external factor, it can be good. Education, I think we've kind of discussed that at length today, and the importance of that, and social skills training is, again, important as well. So we are teaching the appropriate way to go about these interactions online as well as in person.
Does anybody have any questions before we talk about us a little bit and we close up today? I know we've seen a lot of good information in the chat. Hopefully everybody's following that. It sounds like there's some good resources out there and a lot of, unfortunate stories. Again, highly recommend LRIDD for those of you that are struggling and having some situations that you need support with.
I did want to share a new resource we had recently at one of our chats at a school, as well as talking to another parent, that Apple has new child safety features. And after the parents told us about going, they went to the store and set up these child safety features. I actually did some research, and when our Apple phones update, we don't really know what the updates. So I did some research, and actually last month, one of the child safety features was a part of the update. And I just want to share that information because there were some helpful tools on there, but as well as alarming ones, just so you're aware of what features are on the Apple, your child's phone. One of the ones that I say it's alarming is if there is a concern on a Siri or a Google search, as well as any concerns on an iCloud photo. The information said that it is sent to local law enforcement. So I just want everyone to be aware of that new feature. Again, this is an update from last month for the new iPhone iOS system. So I will link that article in our chat.
Thank you for sharing that. All right. Go ahead.
Michelle, can I just say a couple more things? I think some of the challenges, I think all parents have these challenges right now, like with the with everything that you guys are talking about, but I think that some of the challenges are on steroids as it relates to our kids with disabilities, our kids that learn differently, our kids that maybe have high functioning autism or ADHD. They might be 2 to 4 years less mature than their peers. And I think that those are all the concerning things, and it's kind of this slippery slope. It feels really, it's kind of scary where we're at. So I'm really thankful for the work that you do, and you're very unique, with your curriculum and stuff like that. I'm sure you're going to talk more about that. But one of the themes that we've seen over and over lately is that for our kids that are struggling from a mental health perspective, if you didn't already have services, psychology services, therapy services, whatsoever, that if you're needing them now, that sometimes, there's some places we know that they're on a waiting list of 6 months to a year. Some people's waiting list is like really long to the point where they're just not even adding any more people to it. So I just wanted to understand, will you just share, where are you guys located? Are you accepting new patients? Can you just talk to us a little bit about that? And who do you serve? Just talk to us. Who do you serve?
Sure. Thank you for asking. So we are not located anywhere. We actually come to everybody's home. So Josie Avila is located in the Alvin, Alvin, Galveston, all the ISDs, Friendswood. She covers that South region. Angela covers North and Central Houston. We have Desiree covering West and North, and Brandon's primarily North, but we cover basically from Huntsville to Galveston and Katy to Pasadena, and we do go a little bit out of town. And then myself, it's called SciPact, so I'm able to do some things for people in other states. So we offer our curriculum in multiple states. I do testing to help with expert testimony with regards to things happening in the criminal justice system for multiple states as well. So we do psychological and neuropsychological testing for a variety of different purposes for all ages. So children through the elderly. We offer behavioral intervention. So we come to the home and do some behavioral work. Angela does counseling in homes, especially for school-age children. So we do that as well, but with and without disabilities. We co-lead a peers. Peers is out of UCLA. So we co-lead a peers social skills group that's in person out in Magnolia, which is in kind of North Houston. And then, yes, we have our curriculum. Our curriculum has kind of two prongs. One is organizations can purchase it and run it there. So I had a demonstration earlier today with somebody, I can't remember where they were out of, but they work with a lot of different populations, and they're looking at possibly offering it for their organization. But then Angela and Desiree run a national virtual group every Tuesday evening from 5 to 6 p.m. It's a lot of fun. They've gotten a lot of great results. They do a psychoeducational component, and then they break everybody down into small groups for interactive things. I heard she did charades and some other fun activities. And we've gotten just great feedback from the caregivers. So we are offering that as well.
Could you make sure that and maybe it's in your slides, but could you make sure that we have the details of that group that you're talking about? So that way when Meredith puts the email out later, so just send it to me and CC Meredith of the details of that group. So that way we can add that to the email for anybody that's interested in that group.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Thank you.
And then, did you want to talk? Go ahead.
Sure. Sorry. Just having a little technical difficulty. Story of my life, right? Well, first I would just like to say, wow, what a powerful conversation today. And thank you for having that with us. Thank you for talking about the taboo topic. Like, again, nobody talks about this. I know that we partnered with you, one time in the last year or so, but nobody talks about this, and it's a big deal. So thank you again. Thank you again for the work that you guys are doing. Thank you for your curriculum and your support groups and everything that you guys are doing, because it really, really does matter. And I think I'm coming on the back end, like where I'm finishing, I'm kind of getting through these teen years and stuff like that. But just like the madness of the iPhone and what does Bark monitor and what doesn't, like for instance, like Instagram and Snapchat, the iPhone blocks Bark from the things that kind of matter most and stuff like that. There's so many things to learn. And I really felt like I had to, take a master's class on how to lock down the phone or how to best utilize the, parental controls. And one phone isn't better than the other. On one phone, like a Galaxy phone, for instance, or an Android, you have this benefit, but then you have these 5 pitfalls, and it's like kind of, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. So anyway, thank you for that. I just know it's been a big, big topic at our house, and I imagine the same with the people that are here today. So we're not going to spend a lot of time with this right now, but because, we are a holistic special needs planning firm, we do put out a lot of webinars and educational topics on a pretty regular basis. If you have a child that's transitioning, you have a special needs loved one, these are some things that should be on your radar. We've got webinars on every single one of these topics. So if some of the topics on here resonate with you, or you've got questions or concerns about these topics, you can find our YouTube channel and you can go back and review some of those recordings. We mentioned that at the beginning. And having said that, okay, I see, Michelle, you put that the group has a Facebook page, and their page is that lridd.org?
Somebody was asking about the Wine and Wine virtual group through LRIDD. So I was just,
okay.
No, that was about that Wine and Wine group.
Got it. Awesome.
They can just, so I know your next slide has our information. So for our group, they can go to our website and sign up there. And I'll send you the flyer for it as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, everyone, happy Friday. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to end up a little bit early today, but feel free to reach out to any of us. And thank you again. We look forward to partnering again with both all of the county ISDs as well as Dr. Garcia and your team. So thanks so much, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.